What's at stake? Ladies and gentlemen, this legislation is horrible for a few different reasons. First and foremost, it will literally punish people who successfully challenge their assessment. What does that mean? Anybody who challenges their assessment, the first 5% they will not receive. If you challenge your assessment and your assessment's at $100,000 and you get it down to, let's say, $94,000, well, you don't get all of it, folks. You don't get the first 5%. In addition, if you challenge your assessment and it's $100,000 and you get it down to $96,000, you get nothing at all. Why is that? Because this legislation is going to give Nassau County the ability to keep 5% of a reduction you're entitled to. What does that mean? Nassau County's assessment system is broken. Even though you're successful in challenging your assessment and are getting a reduction, Nassau County is basically going to be able to say, we're keeping the first 5%. And they're going to legally get away with keeping your money. In addition to that, this legislation is going to have a dramatic impact on minority communities. The county executive has already announced that she's extended the deadline till April 2nd this year to challenge a Nassau County assessment. And she targeted the areas that said minorities are not filing assessment challenges, they're underrepresented. This will now create a system where if you challenge your assessment, you are going to have to fund a separate account, literally saying you have to fund the refund you're entitled to. This is going to be a further impact on minority communities by not allowing them to challenge it because they don't have the money to do that. That is the purpose of what she said her initial legislation of extending the deadline was, to help these communities when in fact this legislation is going to hurt it. Now, in addition, let's talk about something that came to task last night. This legislation was not seen by any Albany legislators. This was provided to me yesterday by a confidential individual in Albany because he was aware how damaging this is to Nassau County. When I called our state representatives in the Senate and the Assembly, none of the members saw this legislation.
Of course, I joined a long list of people who are opposed to this plan. I always am nervous, suspect about something that's going to be done at the very last moment. And this certainly is an example of just that. In fact, it's so bad, I thought it had something to do with April Fool's prank. It just doesn't make any sense. And on behalf of the village of Hempstead, where our residents will suffer, I am asking legislators, please, to fight this.
Listen, I think that the message is very simple. Our Hempstead town neighbors, especially in my district, they're hardworking, middle-class people who appreciate their quality of life here in the town of Hempstead, and they're willing to pay their fair share. We obviously all agree that the assessment system is broken. It needs to be fixed. But our neighbors, our residents, willing to pay their fair share, but not a penny more. And that's what this is all about.
Just so it's clear that this is not a partisan issue. You know, yesterday when we found out about this legislation and we called our colleagues in Albany, and State Senator Hannan was on the phone telling me, Don, we know nothing about it. How do you have a copy of this? This is very detailed. You know what? We were joined by Councilwoman Gooseby, who was heading away on vacation, but she stood here and she is a Democrat because she knows it is detrimental to her community. So this is not a Republican issue. This is not a Democratic issue. This is simply a taxpayer issue. The taxpayers should be treated fairly. Yes, the assessment system in Nassau County is broken. It has been broken for decades. Residents don't want to be overassessed. Residents don't want to be underassessed. They want to be fairly assessed.